Yeah, and I think it's an important part of the recovery process too, because I think you mentally decide to give up, or do you keep going? I mean, I have plenty of legitimate reasons to give up doing this, but I don't want to, and it frustrates me that there are the physical limitations. So, of course, the back injury, that's like 2 years ago now, and I'm still recovering from that.
Welcome to the Enrichment Project, Path to Purpose, recorded by the mad talent at Solid Gold Podcasts. It is a series of unfiltered and insightful conversations with some of the most remarkable purpose-driven human beings who have all achieved, created, inspired, triumphed, or challenged, and we have a great deal to learn from them. It is a quest to uncover and articulate the steps along the way to help you on your own journey of purpose. I am your host, Richard Wright, and I am delighted to have you with me. Thank you for the gift of your time. Let's dive straight in. Welcome back to the second episode with Shannon Wild. There was just so much in the first one that we decided to do it into two halves. Shannon will tell you she talks too much, and I'm going to tell you she doesn't actually. It's a story that needs to be told, and she can speak as much as she needs to. So Shannon, welcome back, and to you, the listener, welcome back to the second of an extremely enthralling and exciting story of somebody's tremendous purpose and drive and obsession. Welcome back.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. I appreciate you listening for so long.
Oh man, I could listen forever. In fact, in between the two, I said to Shannon, I'm coming to visit. I need to actually just have some more of this. This is amazing. So when Russ is back, Deborah and I are coming to visit.
Amazing. You're welcome.
Thank you very much. I've seen what your garden looks like. In fact, can you tell the listeners what your garden looks like?
It is a beautiful natural South African bush, full of giraffe, and we had baboon late yesterday. Zebra, lots of different antelope species, warthogs. Amazing. Wow. I still pinch myself because my bedroom in particular has a balcony, and then I look out onto a waterhole. So that's, where everything comes and congregates. So
you are living
very,
the dream.
Very fortunate.
But let's be honest, you've paid the price. You've earned it. You really have. If anybody's earned that, you have.
It's been a long time coming, for sure.
Oh, no, it has. But I think that's what it is. When it's purpose.
Location in 7 years, I think, 6. Yeah.
First stable. Okay. So when I first met you, you were staying in Hoedspruit, I think, but you just it was the temporary sort of arrangement. And even at that time, I remember, and I mean, you were a thing then. Shannon Wild was a thing. Russ was a thing. A huge following, extremely amazing work. You've been booked by National Geographic. You've done these shoots. But still, you're on edge thinking, is the work going to come in?
Yeah,
you're pitching for a couple of things, and it's always that, huh?
Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to talk...
the nature of freelance, yeah.
It's what it is. So we're going to talk a little bit later about how you've managed to scale your passion and your obsession into something that does have some passive income, because that's really the trick. But before we get there, I will never forget pictures of you and scars. And what was that? the first shoulder damage. What was that from? There was a cheetah thing, and then there's shoulder damage.
So the first one, was 11 months after I moved here to South Africa. I was mauled by a cheetah on my left arm, which I'm left-handed, so that was not convenient. But yes, it was completely my fault and a lesson learned. So the cheetah is just behaving naturally as she should, and I was being, complacent. Yeah, so it was a controlled situation, and it wasn't something that the general public or tourists can have access to, for example. But of course, Russ and I, being in this industry, can sometimes have access to rescued and rehabilitated animals. And animals that you wouldn't normally be able to get close to. And yeah, I made a mistake and crouched down when I shouldn't have, and she was behind me, and she just took her opportunity and did a full kill bite, thinking she had my throat. So she was suffocating me, but she'd happened to get my upper arm because I'd actually was taking a photo and my ear went to my shoulder, protected my neck, and the angle she came in at, she thought that's where my throat should be. So I wouldn't be able to talk so much if that happened.
Be really grateful. Wow. It's not every day you get to talk to somebody who's got mold with it.
So that was, a lot of, I mean, she did her full force and she was on there for about 20 seconds. And I actually didn't make a sound. Adrenaline kicked in immediately. So there was no pain at the beginning. And I just relaxed into it because she was she was on my back. So I have, like claw scars down my right side where she'd pinned me down, and her face was basically buried into my underarm. And it was all like everything went into slow motion, and I couldn't actually do anything in that situation. And I knew people were around me, so I kind of just sat into it, didn't fight her, and waited for someone to do something.
To pull her off.
Yeah. I mean, if I was alone,
please come
obviously.
And pull the cheetah off my shoulder.
Yeah. And Russ filmed it. I mean, there's footage of the whole thing. And he thought, because I didn't yell or scream or do anything, he thought she was just playing and that she wasn't actually
giving you a cuddle.
Yeah. So cute.
So
and
cuddly.
then once he realized, of course, the camera just, it's just shooting ground, and he came in and gave her a poke, and she let go, and then she went for me 2 more times as I went to get on a vehicle. So, and then I went into shock and all the fun stuff of, still nerve damage and a little bit of limited movement today, but very fortunate. I mean, just sucks that it was my left hand and I couldn't use my camera for about 3 months after that.
So we're going to talk a little bit later about the cost, because every passion, every purpose, there's something to pay. There's a cost that you have to pay.
Hopefully
everything
not this
Nothing comes without a
for
cost.
most people.
One would like to think. But I mean, let's be honest, there are people that lose businesses. That's a massive cost. There are people that do extreme sports and extreme things, and there's lots of loss. But there's been a huge amount for you as well. So I want to move to the next one, if you wouldn't mind. So there's lots in between, and there's tons and tons that we could chat about for years, probably, which is great. But I want to get into that shoot in India. Tell me why you went to India.
So Russ and I were looking through social media, and we found the most beautiful, unique cat. So a melanistic leopard, aka a black panther. And it was this beautiful photo by a really talented photographer called Shaz Jung in India. And we both agreed we needed to film a documentary on this cat. So, a black panther has never been documented professionally in the wild, how it survives and lives. So, yeah. So we put together a show, like a documentary idea, took it to National Geographic and got it greenlit, and off we went to India to find this cat and discover how incredibly difficult that was going to be.
They are to find. So can I just, 2 things I want to ask before, just for us mere mortals who live in our houses and never get to go and do documentaries on rare cats. Yeah. So firstly, how rare are they? I mean, how many are there? Do you have any idea, or how rare is this animal?
I mean, I don't think we really know because it's a leopard, so they're elusive anyway. But this, a lot of things have to come together. But I think there's talk that in India it's maybe 1 in 10, which is seemingly quite high. But it depends on where it is. Like in this forest that we filmed in, he's the only one in this massive forest. But if you go a bit further north in India, we know there's another one, which is, it almost looks halfway between melanistic and not. It's a very unique looking cat. Yeah. Whereas there are parts of Southeast Asia where, you know, for genetic reasons I won't go into, but it's very popular in this certain region. And then you come to Africa and it is incredibly rare. So we've had one sighting in the last 100 years. So there would be more
I didn't even know
out
that
there.
existed in Africa.
Yeah. There was one sighted maybe 18 months ago in Kenya. Yeah. So there's regional factors to it for sure.
Okay, so this is well worth doing. It's never been done before. Great.
Yes.
The second question I want to ask you is, so now National Geographic gives you the green light and they say off you go, and this is a long-term project, right?
Yes. Yeah. I mean, this kind of subject, it's not, let's, you know, go into the field for 3 months and bang it out. You know, just finding him on top of that, the forest is very, very dense. So it's incredibly difficult to work in. And we need to be able to film enough to show, you know, it's one thing to find him in the first place. And then it's another thing to film him, but it's also then another layer to film him doing something interesting enough to make a compelling documentary.
For sure. We don't want to see him just walking past every time.
I know. And there was a lot of sitting in trees and doing nothing.
You've made it this far, probably because the topic resonated with you. If you're wondering what the show is all about, listen to the trailer at the start of the season and find out how this show is going to help you along your own path to purpose. You've stumbled on a project that is all about purpose. Find out why the guests are all so vastly different, but yet all have so much in common. Hop on board this journey with me, follow the Enrichment project so that you don't miss out on a single episode, and share it with, well, everyone. We are all looking for more meaning in our lives. If the show speaks to your identity or the identity of your brand, consider sponsoring a season. Let's make the circle bigger. Back to the episode, and thanks for listening. Okay.
So
the question then is, from a funding point of view, do you get a does it come in installments?
Yes.
or how does that work?
Yes, it comes in installments. So, I mean, National Geographic will determine a budget, and unfortunately it's never enough. It's very, very tight. And we were there for 18 months, so a lot of that budget goes to filming permits that we pay daily for the privilege of being in a national park and, you know, filming. So that goes to the government, so that's where most of our money goes.
Okay.
And then equipment.
So now you said something there which isn't entirely true. So I'm going to have to call you up on that. You said that we were there for 18 months. Well, we were not there for 18 months.
There might have been a period that I had to leave.
Exactly. So what happened? Tell us what happened that day.
So, I mean, I always default to 6 months, but I think it was actually 5 months into production. I managed to break my back in 2 places while out in the field filming. So,
how did that happen, Shannon?
So, I'm in the back of this vehicle, which essentially I'm on an open, like a utility vehicle. I'm on a bench seat. My gear is bolted into the vehicle, and I work it from there. And then, of course, there's a driver, which is and an official, a park official. And so our days are constantly going around this forest and looking for signs, listening for signs, and hoping to find the panther. So we got word that there was a sighting. So Russ and I would split up into 2 vehicles and hedge our bets in this forest. So we had word of a sighting. So my very excited driver started speeding towards that direction.
Yes.
And he didn't see a bump in the road, where obviously it's dirt roads and national park, and it's a very thin dirt road. So we hit this bump at speed and I just went flying. Came down very, very hard, and I knew immediately that something was very, very wrong. But to be honest, I didn't think it was that bad. So I'd gone into the forest that afternoon. So we would generally either stay out all day or do it in 2 chunks, where we would have to go back and charge up camera batteries, maybe dump footage off a card to clear it for space. So I'd come back in, and so then we're in there for quite a few hours. So yeah, that was not great. I did that and then managed to finish that afternoon, which was still a few more hours in the bumpy vehicle. Missed the panther sighting, unfortunately, because, you know, when that happened, we had to stop for a second because I'm just cradling. So it's thoracic between my shoulder blades, and I was cradling my back, and I'm basically, this is not good. Yeah.
But fortunately,
did a lot of nerve damage and damage to discs, balding discs, and all the fun stuff. So.
But fortunately, your equipment was bolted into the vehicle.
Exactly.
And it was fine.
Yes, the equipment was perfect.
We were okay with that.
Ready to go back to work.
When I asked you that before, it was like, you know, but thank goodness, you know, it was just me. The equipment, I was like,
yep, that was my whole...
I think I'd rather lose the equipment than break my back.
No.
But, you know... And I know it's my livelihood
right there, and I think we were still paying it off. So, yeah. I mean, like,
and then
a lot of money in that camera. So,
and your medical bills?
Well,
a lot of money.
Thankfully, you know, we have insurance, so I didn't have to worry about that.
And your equipment is not insured?
Yes. Damn it. Yes.
So I'm just going back to the circle of, like, in the first episode, this reckless Shannon who's like kind of priorities. And that's exactly what it is. And that's what I love about you and your purpose is that you have your priorities sorted. Yeah. This is the thing that comes first. It's this. You can't separate the two. You cannot take the wild out of Shannon, which is Shannon Wild. And I love that. That's amazing. Okay, so broken
registered trademark.
There we go. There's a tattoo on the arm, registered trademark. Shannon Wild. Tell me now, your back is broken.
Yeah.
So what now?
So had to convince a neurologist that there was something wrong, because when I did the 1.5-hour bumpy drive to the nearest hospital, he didn't even look at my back, made a joke about overdoing it on yoga, and then sent me away. So I took another week,
I shouldn't laugh, but
it got worse and worse and worse.
Nice.
I know. It's, you know, and I also am thinking, it's probably just a few days, it'll be fine. No, it's definitely got worse in a few days, and the swelling and all the fun stuff. So I had to go back to hospital, obviously, and then we did the whole MRI thing and whatnot. So a lot of...
But isn't it true that you wanted to be okay? Because you've come this far.
Exactly.
This thing that you're doing is so important to you, and you just can't actually believe it. It's that proper denial that you can't believe that this is it now.
Yeah.
So I had not nearly the same, but I had a similar-ish experience. A race I did with stage 4 brain cancer. It was a half Ironman, and coming out of the water, I got tumbled by a wave. And I dislocated my shoulder. And I was determined that this wasn't going to be the end of my race. I was determined. Goodness. And the doctor said, no, it's dislocated. It's done. And in the struggle to try and get my wetsuit off and have a look, we managed to somehow pop back in.
Oh, my God.
And so after a while, I was like, just give me some painkillers and I'm going to be on my way. And he's like, no, your race is done. I managed to persuade him. He wouldn't give me any painkillers because it is mental.
Yeah.
I finished that Ironman, got the medal. And then similar to you.
Amazing.
It's like, no, but wait. It's like, it's just dislocated. It's dislocated. Come on, Rich. You know, how bad can this be? And I'm back into sleep and I can't lift my arm up and it's dislocated. I made an appointment with a surgeon I'm worried now, about a month later.
Oh my.
And then I canceled it because dude, don't be a wimp. Come on, you're an Iron Man. And then I made another appointment, and we found out that the whole top of the humerus was gone. It was a broken shoulder, and I managed to get through the Iron Man. So same thing. It's like, but the sense of it means so much to me to get to the finish line that I'll get through anything I possibly need to.
Yes.
And I know your story it's way more wild than that, but it's the concept is when we want something so badly, we're prepared to endure anything. Right.
Yeah. And
so, I mean, that's even you continuing to film that day and wanting to go back into the field and just, no, I don't want to accept that this is what my reality is.
Yeah. And I think it's an important part of the recovery process too, because I think you mentally decide to give up, or do you keep going? I mean, I have plenty of legitimate reasons to give up doing this, but I don't want to. And it frustrates me that there are the physical limitations. So, of course, the back injury, that's like 2 years ago now, and I'm still recovering from that. So the idea.
So I'm going to stop you there though, because we skipped some stuff here. So you were out of the field for what, about 6 months, right?
9 months. Yeah.
9 months. And then you decided
and then I
to
went
go
back. Yeah.
Were you 100% healed?
I had made good progress up until that point. So I'd been on.
Were you 100%? I'd made
no, I mean,
progress.
I definitely wasn't 100%. I was getting physio 3 times a week. I'd been on a lot of painkillers, too many. But I'd managed to get myself off them. And so I thought, I was at a pain level that opioids. Yeah, a lot. I mean,
wow.
Yeah. And still in agony. But managed to, and also psychological, to get off those and really focus on other methods of pain relief. And I managed to get to a point where I wasn't on the opioids anymore, but I was at a point where the pain was obviously still there, but I felt like it was something I could manage day to day in terms of I could handle it going along. And I think, I have a very high pain threshold now. There's been a lot of experience with pain coming up to this point. So,
and cannabis, did you try that at all?
So CBD as opposed to THC.
Cannabis oil,
Yes.
Okay.
So
you missed the good stuff.
Apparently, yes. I still have a lot of pain, and it comes and goes. So, like, for example, my shoulder is very locked up right now. So the pain traveled up and it became very muscular and nerve related in my neck. So I've had, nerve block injections and all different things. And I have nerve pain down to my fingers and my left hand. Wow. So that's something I have to sort of manage now. So I was doing pretty well, and I feel like maybe similar to where I'm at now-ish. I'm not on painkillers now. And so I thought, okay, great.
So you thought Russ is having so much fun. He's getting this great footage.
Yeah.
I'm going back.
Exactly. I was so jealous because, he's out there and it's a once in a lifetime situation, truly. And I thought I was doing good. We're coming to the end of the production. I got back out there and suddenly realized on the first drive how incredibly bumpy the roads in that forest are, and was straight back on the painkillers from day one.
You forgot that.
So unfortunately, I mean, there'd be no way I could function otherwise. It was horrific. Yeah. So I went back and did the final. And you put yourself
in a worse place.
Yeah. So that's when it very much then traveled up into the neck area. So from being very thoracic focused and having issues of muscles locked in, it then sort of traveled up into the neck, shoulder, and then that's when I had the nerve damage in the neck and down into the fingers. Yeah. So that's not great.
So many
I got really great footage though.
I was waiting for that.
mating in a tree, and yeah.
I damaged my back. I completely messed my back up. I have a permanent damage. I got great footage. Yeah. Wow, it was amazing.
It took another year to get off the painkillers. Yeah.
You see, this is the stuff. It just, and I can see you light up. You just light up with this.
Yeah, I mean,
look,
it's a Black Panther.
Exactly. I really, I get goosebumps. It's the most amazing thing to be in the presence of somebody who is so completely obsessed in it, in love with what they do. And the best part for me is that you can earn a living doing it. And and then, so now, okay, so now we're back from that, and I know that part of your journey, and I don't want to spoil too much of this for the episode we're going to do with Russ and you, because that's going to be super cool as it is. But it's then, how do we earn a passive income? Because now 2 years literally out of the field. I know you went on a speaking tour, and that's something on its own.
Yes.
But tell me about so you're very much like me. Unless you are behind a camera, or unless Russ is behind a camera, you aren't actually earning any money.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
So how do we scale that?
So we definitely have to diversify we don't want to be reliant on one revenue stream in something that's, so tricky. And of course, given the current times and certain travel restrictions and access, that really throws a spanner in the works. So, there's been little opportunities over the years that I've taken advantage of, and, gone in knowing very specifically that I want to set up passive incomes, because even without injury, this is a very physical job. So I'm aware that I won't be able to do it forever, or certainly not at the volume that, I had been. So
certainly not in the inaccessible locations that you've been going to.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. Some crazy, amazing places for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. And especially now with the back, and sleeping on the ground in tents is not awesome.
It's not great.
But anyway, we'll get there. So, I mean, things to diversify. I have a few things, but my focus right now that I've been able to spend time on, not being in the field, is a jewelry line that I started with a very wildlife and conservation focus. So it became twofold for me. And the actual motivation initially was I wasn't in the field, so I felt like I wasn't contributing and giving back
Making
to
a difference.
Wildlife and conservation. And I'd met so many amazing people and organizations over the preceding years that as a filmmaker and photographer, I get to connect with and see their incredible work. And through my work, I get to share that with a greater audience. So, take that away for a while. And I felt like I needed another outlet to actually do that while I couldn't be there in a documentary sense. So, and it coincided with when I was very ill and couldn't physically do stuff, but I had mental clarity again. And so I needed a creative outlet, because that creative side, I needed to fulfill
very
that.
Strong.
Yeah, somehow.
Sure.
So I was very frustrated. And I was climbing the walls. I was needing to do something. And I'm the kind of personality, I need to be productive. I need to feel like I'm contributing to this world in a positive way to kind of earn my place. Like, that is what fulfills me.
Wow. So that's a big statement.
Yeah. And it's
I love that.
It's two-folded as well, because, that obviously comes with, you can't place your value only in what you're doing and producing. You obviously have value as a person, but I'm very driven by that, by creating things and contributing somehow. So that's definitely what makes me happy. So,
So I've had a good look, and Deborah, my partner, she flips through the Instagram account for just give us the exact the account.
Yeah, so it's Wild in Africa is the business name, but on Instagram you'll find it as Shannon Wild Jewelry.
Shannon Wild Jewelry.
Yeah.
Right. Any underscores anywhere?
No.
Just that. Okay. So Deborah spent a lot of time there. And for those of you listening and watching, you need to get there and go and have a look. It is extremely, extremely well made. Every single piece, so every bracelet, no, it is phenomenal. Is different stones and put together differently. Yes. You can get the Shannon stack, I think it's called.
Yeah, the Shannon Wild stack, which represents different continents. That I've worked on as a filmmaker. And so I've chosen stones that I feel are either from that region or represent that region. So think, India. Yeah, there's so many beautiful stones out there. I'm a little bit obsessed with stones. If I go to, different parts of the world, then I generally will collect, things. Even if it's a basic stone that has a line through it or something, there's some beautiful ones out there. So yeah,
I think we can safely say that you are pretty obsessive as a person.
Yes.
I think so. The cool thing for Ras is we can. So the cool thing for Ras is that means that you're equally obsessed about him, and isn't that just amazing? so
he would like to think so. Yes.
I think you can safely make that assumption. So just before we move on, and I like what you've done is that there's an individual piece that represents a project or a NGO or something, and so and whatever. So some of the profit from that would go towards that thing, and I really love that.
To make it clear, I wanted to be extremely transparent about that part of it, because you can say a certain percentage of profit, and it's very hard for people to know how much that actually is, and it's very easy for a business to make sure that is the minimum. So we actually donate 50% of the purchase price. Done. So
oh wow,
yeah, very, very transparent, very clear. So I've designed certain bracelets for different charities, and they're only charities that I have personally worked with. I know them. I've seen their work in the field.
And people.
So I 100% stand behind them and their work. And so someone can go onto the website, buy it, and they know exactly how much. And it's a significant amount. And then within the half that I get is what we use to produce the bracelet, and all the marketing and associated costs of trying to run an e-commerce business.
I was going to say, I think you're allowed to earn an income, Shannon.
Well, hopefully at some point we will.
We will. So one of the questions I asked you when we were chatting just to set this interview up, or this conversation up, and that was, so please tell me, after all of this, after building something up in Australia, then leaving that, moving, starting from scratch, these 2 years that came with pain and suffering and ulcers and parasites and broken backs, and please tell me that at this point in time you're earning well off this thing. And you don't have to say a thing. I'm going to tell them. It's like, finally, kind of. But any money we've earned, we've put straight back in.
Yes,
we bought equipment.
Exactly. So it's very much being reinvested.
And that's also part of the passive income. So I know right now that Russ is in the field. You've got 3 productions, and he's sort of flitting between the 3.
Exactly.
And that you've got camera equipment that people can hire or use. Yes. So that's the scaling as well, which is amazing. It really is incredible.
To be honest, we got so used to not having any money at the beginning that when it started to come in, reinvesting it made sense long term. Yeah. And we're kind of used.
It's hard to do though, because after so long, you kind of, I just want a break. I want it just to be a little bit easier.
Definitely.
But what I also dig right now is that, you hinted on this, I think the last episode, where you said that for the first time in 7 years, you actually have roots. You have a place that you can call home. You have things. You've got a cat. That's actually pretty cool that you've, and I'm sure that must take its toll as well. And we'll talk about that in the next episode with Russ. But it must take a toll that you're on the road and I guess it's nice to be free of things and stuff.
Yeah, definitely.
At the same time, that feeling of of a home is
Yeah,
good.
I mean, it was a big adjustment at the beginning, and I feel like it took me the first couple of years to really get comfortable with not having a schedule or a plan, things changing last minute. All of a sudden, we're going to this country or that country. I don't know where I'm going to be next week, where I'm going to be sleeping or what's happening. And I like to be in control. I know that's my personality type. So that was a huge adjustment for me, not being able to control every aspect. But then, of course, that's part of the fun of it as well. Is like it's constantly dynamic. It's not
Flux.
ever boring. And so that took a lot of getting used to. And then after a while, you get used to that as a lifestyle. And then if I was back in one place for a certain amount of time, I'd start to get restless. So I think, we're very adaptable. But I am thoroughly enjoying being having a
Yeah,
base
for now.
at least that is familiar. So if we come and go, I did the speaking tour at the beginning of the year. I come back and am able to,
Unfortunately,
there's home.
Unfortunately, it all happened so fortuitously with COVID and the lockdown and actually having a home to go to. I mean,
Yes,
that's amazing.
thank goodness we
So
just got in there. Yeah.
So the two questions I have left for you for now. And the first one is no children.
Yeah.
Tell me about that.
Active choice.
Active choice.
Yes.
I think a good choice. Can you imagine? And I guess in some ways it's a sacrifice, in other ways it really isn't. It's if imagine
that has
traipsing around the world.
never been something for me or a motivation for me. So I came to terms quite early on that was not the path I wanted to go down. And as I've got older, the conviction of that has just been stronger. So
Brilliant.
I don't really see it as something that I sacrificed for this lifestyle because the desire wasn't there in the beginning.
Wasn't there?
Yeah.
So I admire that. And I know in a world in 2020, you'd think we would be quite far advanced right now and we'd allow people to get out of this mold in the box that we place them in. But it's still,
I know. People are relatively, like, what? Why?
Yeah.
No, it's anyway, not for me.
It wouldn't a good decision, and it certainly wouldn't fit in.
Yeah.
There we go. We go. That's what it is. And then the final question for now is if you had to. So you're somebody who has followed your passions and obsessions, and we've traced your journey, and it's been a remarkable journey of hardship and joys and triumphs and talent unraveling and creativity and just phenomenal. But that golden thread that runs all the way through is your absolute love for the wild and what you do and capturing that and giving back. To somebody who's out there who's feeling a little bit purposeless, or they haven't quite found that yet, or they're batting to even understand what this thing called purpose is, what would you have to say to them?
I think it's easy to get wrapped up in having to label it or rush into finding what that is. But if I look back on my life and career, it happened very naturally. I had a completely different career in graphic design, and I feel like people should know it's not too late to change the course of your life. Like, don't feel like, okay, well, I've locked into this. That's what I have to do forever now. And that's not the case. Even at my age, I am still excited about what the future holds, and I can't even possibly imagine, but I know there's still going to be some level of variety into that. It will come back to maybe this lifestyle. It's definitely going to be wildlife or animal related. But ever evolving. If for whatever reason, the back prevents me from being back into the field permanently, there are other avenues I'll be able to evolve that can still ignite my passion of wildlife and giving back and contributing to conservation and being around animals.
I think you've aptly demonstrated that already in your short lifetime. So I lied. I'm going to chuck one more. I'm going to throw one more question in.
Sure.
And it's a cool one. So what do you think? So just put us forward into Shannon's not here anymore, and somebody is standing up and is celebrating your life. What would you most want to be celebrated for? The impact, the mark that you leave on this planet. What would you most want to be celebrated for?
I definitely would hope that it's a positive contribution of bringing awareness of this beautiful natural world to a greater audience. I think that's the ultimate goal. From a selfish perspective, I get to go out and do these amazing things of, documenting beautiful wild animals in unique locations. But I could go out and do those things and not have to take photos or film and share that with people. I could still have the experience of it, which is incredible. But I couldn't imagine not sharing that with as many people as possible, because I want them to feel even just a tiny level of the happiness and excitement that I get out of the natural world, because that's truly, it's true beauty.
So that's the perfect answer for me. And in exactly the same way, Shannon Wild, I get to do the same thing. I get to share in your experiences, where it's not just a conversation between you and me. It's a conversation we have with a whole lot of listeners, in a way that I hope you listening to this have been able to take something from Shannon's story that's going to impact and enrich your life and help you along your path to purpose. So thank you for giving me that opportunity, for the selfish, but I get it from being that person who's able to do that. For your time, for your story, just absolutely remarkable. And please go and follow Shannon Wild on Instagram. Go and get some of that jewelry and share in her passion for sharing. But I know the photographs they're extremely evocative. They make you feel like you were there, and what a talent. So thank you so much for your time, Shannon.
Thank you so much. It's such a pleasure.
Cheers. Thank you for staying right to the end of the episode and for joining me on the Enrichment Project. Before you go, please share this episode with your friends and your colleagues. They will thank you, I'm sure. Remember that you can catch each Path to Purpose episode by watching on YouTube, or if you prefer, on your favorite podcast app. The link to my book, The Power of Purpose, is in the show notes. Please go and check it out. It's a rad account of my own story of purpose and resilience and my fight against brain cancer. I finished 6 full Ironman events, a number of multi-stage mountain bike races, 9 Ironman 70.3 races, including the Ironman World Championships, and a bunch of other endurance events, all with stage 4 brain cancer, because I wanted it that badly, and getting to the finish line meant that much to me. As a professional inspirational speaker, business and life coach, author and storyteller, I'd love to add more value to you or your organization. Please find more details on my website, iamrichardwright.com, and book me today for a live or virtual keynote, a masterclass, workshop, or coaching session, or please follow my journey on Facebook, I Am Richard Wright, Twitter, The Wright Rich, Instagram, I Am Richard Wright, or on LinkedIn. I'd love the opportunity to enrich your team. Thank you to the professional crew at Solid Gold Podcasts for the support, the talent, and the mad skills. And to Anna Hick for her creativity and genius video magic. Thank you. You all rock.